Shalom, shalom. Greetings to you all in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, wherever you are. It's a blessed day that the Lord has granted us, and the purpose is always one. He wants to build us, to strengthen us, to bring us to that higher level of knowing Him. Knowing ourselves is derived from the knowledge we have of Him. If we're not aware or we don't know who He is, we will never walk in that fullness of life, and we will never walk in the fullness of joy. We will never be fulfilled in this life because we have no idea and we don't understand who we are. That is the crisis that is only resolved, it's only cured by the knowledge of God. Paul, we are learning. Paul is presenting to us the channel of thoughts and mentality, mindset, and the importance of this, because it determines what happens in your life and the experiences. I had just introduced a little bit of what Paul was talking about. Now I want us to get in there in Philippians chapter 3 verse 5, and I just want to talk about this circumcised. He says circumcised the eighth day. Now, understanding what he's talking about, he said, though I also might have confidence in the flesh, if anyone else thinks he may have confidence in the flesh, I am so. I'm more so. So that means I am more than you, because I have a CV of certain things I used to believe in, I used to put my confidence in, and yet these things were not the real deal. And is helping those who still have this kind of mentality, belief, to change it, because if it doesn't change, they will not get much. They will suffer in their lives without knowing even why they are suffering. So in this verse 5, then he says, circumcised the eighth day. So there was this thing, and Paul was so proud of circumcision, because it says circumcised when I was 8 days old. So this was a very important thing in the tradition of Jews, and it is even today. And there are many places where this thing is so serious. And the idea they had, this began actually with Abraham. Abraham was given a sign of circumcision. And what is this sign of circumcision that was given to Abraham? Well, after Abraham was called from his father's house, he was told he's been laden, he's been taken somewhere where there is his father, from his father's home, and he's been taken somewhere where he will know what to do, he will know more. So he wasn't given the whole details of where he was going, but by faith, the Bible tells us, he just moved, he just obeyed God and moved. And when he believed, the Bible tells us that it was counted unto him as righteousness, and he was counted as a righteous man because of believing in God. So we see Abraham believing in God and becoming righteous because of that faith he had in God. All right, so with that faith that he had in God, and the experience of that faith made him a pioneer, first person to actually introduce that righteousness that is counted upon him. He didn't do, there were no laws at the moment, there were nothing to do to actually be counted righteous as we see in the times of the laws. But Abraham was given this privilege to know that there is such a righteousness that can be counted upon a man because of the what? Because of believing. And so after believing, then he became the righteous, and that man was counted unto him righteousness. That righteousness was counted unto him, upon him. Something else happened, which is important. God gave him a sign of circumcision. And so what was in circumcision. What did circumcision consist? What it consist of? What was it in its meaning, and also how it was done? Well, the circumcision was done and only happened to those male children. And these male children had to be circumcised on the 8th day. And according to that, to their belief, or what that meant, it meant that they are separated from the world and are made special. So circumcision then became a sign to them that they are special. Remember, God had called Abraham, and he's beginning a new race in Abraham. Ever since the fall of Adam, there was a new people that was coming out, apart from what we see in chapter 6, 7, chapter 8, chapter 9, from chapter 6, actually 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We see the story of Noah, building the ark and surviving. There were only 3 of his children and their wives, and him and his wife. So there were 8 in number. So 8 began now to fill the earth again, and from there we see in chapter 12 God calling Abraham, and from him now he's going to build nations. He's going to be a father of many nations. That's what he was told by God. As Abraham believed in that, again it was counted unto him for righteousness. Now that sign of circumcision followed his faith. After believing, then the sign was given to them as a mark of their peculiarity. If that they are peculiar, they are different, they are special, they are unique, they are separated, and they are different from the rest of the world. That was a sign. So the sign made you special. So every person, every male child who was circumcised felt so special. So this was an experience, and it was something that was done on the outside. So this remained with the Jews for so long, and we see Moses also doing the same thing with his children, and we see the Jews now opting this as their as a special thing. It was a very powerful sign. For instance, we see the story of David and Goliath. One of the arguments of David was that he was circumcised, and the Goliath, the giant, was not circumcised. And because he's circumcised, that he had this special privilege. He felt, no, this makes us special. This makes me special. So he couldn't believe that his fellow Jews were so scared of this man who was not circumcised. Since circumcision meant a special one, they were supposed to feel special. Now, it doesn't matter how huge and how strong Goliath was, they were supposed to see it differently. They were supposed to see it differently in that if Goliath is trying to terrorize all the Jews, they should remember that they are circumcised on the outside, of course. And so David knew this secret, and he said, well, you cannot underestimate, you cannot boast, you cannot come to trample over the children of Israel. These people are circumcised. How can you do that? How dare you despise them? But you see, the issue was not with Goliath, because to him, he's ignoring whether they are circumcised or not. It was supposed to be known by those Jews, because it was a sign given to them that meant that they are special. Well, so Paul uses this. Why? Because Paul is now he's also a Jew, then he's circumcised. And after being circumcised, so they felt that in their time, at this moment, it was the Roman Empire that was in power. It was ruling over the world in the Roman Empire. So according to Paul, he says, well, there's a special way we failed because we were circumcised. And so Paul, being a Jew, he was taught by his parents, he was taught in their societies, they were taught by the Torah, they were taught in their belief that once you are circumcised, then you are special. You are special than a Roman. You are special than any other human being on the face of the earth. Look, this was the perception about circumcision. So now you understand where Paul is coming from. Now he's saying, well, this is so powerful because in their time, honestly, to be circumcised, it was a real deal. Today, it is not done for those purposes. It's done for other purposes. But then it was something special that made you special and unique among others. So Paul is saying, well, in my CV, I am circumcised, and I was circumcised on the 8th day because this was only for the Jews. And so he says, because of that, I used to think that I am special. Now remember, he's saying what he's saying here. He's saying it is something he used to think that it was great. Yes, at the moment it was great. Yes. But then he's taking us somewhere, showing us what he had confidence in. And of course, the people he also addressing, they also know what he's talking about. And they knew what he's talking about. All right, so this is why I was trying to explain. So circumcised when I was 8 days old. So you had to obey that for you to be special. 8 years or 8 days, 8 days old. So Paul says, this is one of my CVs. This is one of what I used to believe in. I felt this makes us special. I keep on seeing the same things that Paul is talking about here, how in many cultures, everybody thinks they are special. Everybody thinks they are special in a sense that, in a way, every culture feels that they are the best culture. Well, it's good to feel that you are the best, but it's good to feel that you are important, but not to think that others are not important too. So the issue is to think that you are the only important person and the rest do not matter. As Paul said, I used to think that way. I used to think that, well, since I'm circumcised, well, I'm great. Well, he discovered something else later. Brothers and sisters, you see how many people have confidence in certain things that are even insignificant. Paul says, I had to be free from that. I didn't know that these were my limitations. What I had put his confidence in were his limitations. How many people are so religious today, believe in many things that are so limiting, instead of empowering them, encouraging them, or lifting them up, it is actually limiting them. And they don't know. Paul says, this had to go. I had to be free from these things. Shalom, shalom.